Hello, everyone. Hi. Good to see everybody here. This is amazing. Did you like that song? Oh my gosh. We got to believe in ourselves and time to live out our dreams. Oh my goodness. And I just want to thank everybody for joining on today. This has just been a really heart-moving day, to say the least. And it's all so good. It's really good. Um, I want to mention there's a lady on the call, Diane Armitage, and in the very near future, we're going to have her on if she will be okay with that. I bet she will, to talk and share some things because she just had an amazing class today too, which was so moving. And this is about living our dreams. This is coming into this most unlimited power of what we've come to this earth to be and to do. And tonight I am going to share, oh wow, some awesome information about one of my friends. Okay, and I call the herbs my friends. They're my friends, they're my teachers, they're my helpers. And I look at it that way. And I'm kind of curious. So we sent the email out about anybody want to take a guess at the magical herb, the plant we're going to talk about here? Diane, can you unmute?
I'm going to guess it's on turmeric.
You're going to say, okay. I was going to say, did Kimberly tell you? Okay. Okay, that's a thought. It's probably an herb people least would expect, nor do they know much about. And I'll tell you what, this is an herb, a magical plant of immortality, ancient herb. I know, let me see if I could go to the view screen here. Dory and Dale are on as well. And I know they have a background with what this herb could be associated with too. So before I start into that, I'd like to share that this is our educational night. So every other Wednesday, there are going to be free classes, educational night. And so people got a little confused of what we were doing. So they're thinking this is next week. But that every other week is going to be the Tesla bio healing sessions. And we're going to be emphasizing what more we can expand and do on that. And we have actually another idea that we're going to bring into the session next week that is going to be very strong. So this is the educational night. Every other Wednesday is our free Zoom classes. I want to help continue to teach you about, herbs, health, nutrition, whatever it is. And we've put together our schedule actually for the next several months, which will be really awesome. So all of you will get that shared. Kimberly will be sending that out, what the topics are, what the dates are. Can you believe we're getting a little more organized here? I'm learning as I go, but I'm watching all this stuff Diane's doing too. And it's like, holy cow. Okay. We're getting with the program here pretty good. So tonight is about the spirit of the herbs, but especially one herb in particular. And I've been sitting here meditating and communicating with the spirit of this herb and really feeling its essence and feeling the gratitude. And the thing I love about working with herbs is, yes, they have physical properties, they have spiritual properties, they have emotional properties to them. It's just so powerful. And the very, very, very first time I ever took this one particular herb, I had so much emotion come out of me. I had so much actually anger come out of me for almost 3 days. I didn't even expect that. And the more I studied it, the more I understood the point and the purpose, what this herb was doing. So I know you're on the edge of your seat. So I'll start talking to you about this herb, and it's called wormwood. Okay. That, I mean, if you want to take an herb that might smell like dirty socks and dirty feet and the whole thing, you know, it's wormwood. But this herb is amazing. So I want to first talk to you about the spiritual, the emotional side of this herb. And this is such a really good time to be using this herb. It does have, it is antiviral, okay, antibacteria. It goes on and on, but I'll go into that shortly. This herb has been around probably, it goes way back, just thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's one of the herbs that different groups of indigenous people knew that when they settled with their group, there were two herbs they looked for to be there, Cascara sagrada, okay, and wormwood, because they knew people had to move their bowels. They also knew people had to have help with the digestion. And this is where, and people who were absolutely stuck, but now I'm going to go into kind of the woo-woo stuff with this herb. Okay, it helps in releasing evil, negative, demonic energy. Okay, you've heard about that with garlic, okay, how that can happen, but also with wormwood, okay, which is why I put it in our parasite formula. But that wormwood is just amazing. Here's some of what the wormwood can unblock inside of us as we are going through so many changes right now with our DNA, so many changes of being elevated into a more higher conscious level. I like the idea of using the plants to assist us in our awakening, to assist us in our healing, to make this go a lot smoother. I don't know how much easier, okay, but definitely a lot smoother. It helps to release hatred. It helps to release bitterness. And it is a very bitter herb, and those bitter herbs can do that. It helps to release guilt. So, and anger, it purifies the energies that associated with anger. And that's why when first taking this formula or taking the herb, something with wormwood, okay, maybe you're going to go buy it yourself and just get it straight. Maybe you're going to take it in a blend. I'd really recommend taking it in a blend. Okay, and that's what we've done. But you may notice in the first 24, 48 hours what is starting to arise. Okay, and you may not have anything that negatively needs to arise, or you might, you know, whatever is cleaning out in our systems for our ancestralhood is happening right now at such an amazing, fabulous rate. So, you know, so if this happens and you start to feel hotter in your body and you start to feel a little fiery and, you know, irritations start to come up, it's working. It's starting to help shift what needs to move out. And then what will happen is it helps to realign this peaceful feeling in us. And again, when I talk about the herbs on the spiritual, emotional level, physical level, these plants have been created by the intelligence, the divine. Okay, they're here for our medicine. And that's why I call them teachers and helpers. My very first teacher in herbology, she was a German herbalist. She said, for the next year, every day, I want you to get to know your new friends. You pick one, and every day you talk to them, you get to know them. And at first I thought, how in the heck can this happen? You know, this is kind of little kooky. And yet, oh my gosh, when you connect into you pick a particular herb, but let's say tonight we're talking about wormwood, and you just sit there and you just want to feel this. And maybe you have the bottle of Parasite. I have that here, and I thought I want it here. I want it right by me while I'm talking. I want to feel the vibration of what this herb is doing. And you thank it. And here's the thing in taking your supplements too, be conscious, be thankful for what they're here to support us with, what they're here to help us with. And so when she said that, I got into it right away. 15 minutes a day. I would introduce myself. I would let them introduce themselves to me and start to get to know the herb on many levels. Years ago, when I went to the Hopi village, Seca Mesa, Arizona, I've spent a lot of time there. One of the medicine persons took me to the cliff, Seca Mesa, and he said, I want you to ask for a particular herb to come. We were working with people in the village. He said, I want you to call in and ask for that herb to come in and teach you and show you how to help them. And we had nothing with us. And a lot of times they have a few things, herbs with them that they grow, the yucca and different things there, the cedar. But we sat there and I did that. And I felt that. I felt that energy come into me. And then I felt the energy when we went to work with this person who was really ill, and I used my hands and I felt that coming through. So as we know, there's no time and space. We don't have to be limited by, if you don't physically have it, you can call in the spirit of it and the energy of it to help you too. But if you want to take this further into a real good experience, then of course we want to do it physically. Another thing with the, oh, I love this. Okay, so wormwood is especially effective and helpful for parasites. Okay, and so originally it was even used to help release snakes out of people. Okay, there were really these parasites. They were the very long tapeworms, all kinds of parasites, but also what was in people and what was staying in people, it was the wormwood was the predominant herb that would release this. Now, this is, I know Kimberly made some beautiful slides today, and I get way ahead of myself on some of this because I get so excited. This is so cool. Okay, so when you take wormwood, you digest wormwood, I always say you want to have it with a snack. Okay, because the parasites, they love sugar and they love processed food and they love white flour, they love all that. But they, any kind of food, they like organic food too, and they will start going after the food. But when you have the wormwood in you, what's going to happen is the parasites will go after and start eating the wormwood. They'll start ingesting that. Okay, and the parasites have a casing. A lot of them have a casing on them as thick as your nails on your fingers. Okay, and the wormwood literally, it can, just like diatomaceous earth, it could break that down, and then there becomes a die-off on that. So always, I should say, originally, no matter what, wormwood is known to work with parasites. But on another level, energetically, when we shift and we move away from having some of the anger in us, some of the toxicity in us, then the wormwood could do more. It's doing what it's here to do. And I would say that in taking this blend, okay, for parasites, but I want to say use it as also antiviral. Anyone who has had, let's see how I could say this in a safe way, has had a particular type of shot, okay? Or anyone who's had different types of testing put way up in their nose, okay, they would definitely benefit from using this formula. And I would absolutely use it every day. I would take 3 capsules every day, probably for the next 6 to 9 months. Okay. So it helps. They've definitely, the studies that have been done, why I'm talking about this is because there are a lot of medical doctors now who are studying this, who are studying wormwood. They are studying parasites. This is fabulous. And I may have shared this when I first started working years ago with parasites, actually shortly after doing this formula, I met with, well, she's a colon hydrotherapist, but I met with her husband, was a doctor in at the Swedish hospital in the Denver area. He was so fascinated by this. He couldn't stop using it and the results he was getting. And finally, one day, I'm like, of everything you're taking, why are you taking the parasite formula and the colon cleanser? And he said, and excuse me if I'm repeating myself, because this is something that I just can't ever get out of my mind. He said, Judy, there's one book in the library that physicians have, they cannot even check out. And it's almost 3 inches thick. And I said, what is that? He said, it's a book that doctors know about. They won't use it. Every disease has a parasite associated to that illness. Every disease. And he said, at the root of every illness, he said, a physician could study, they could look up and find what parasite they would need to treat for the recovery of their patients. And of course, we know the answer why they don't do that. So the thing that is, there's a lot of wisdom in using this herb preventively, as well as actively right now. I don't care who you're exposed to. I don't care, what you might have done to your body. That's not a judgment on my part. I'm offering solution to something that could be ongoing, beneficial for right now. Another thing it's been used for is snake bites, helps to lower fevers, wasp bites. Actually, the more you have this in your system, it's very minimal as far as that you'd even attract some of the bites that you typically would get, because they already could feel the energy and the vibration off of that. So it's also used in a magical way as a love potion, okay, to attract the higher vibration of love for you in your life. Okay, now this is all the stuff that some people will wonder, I don't know about that, but that's the part I really geek out on. It's like, oh, okay, let's try that. Maybe I need some more of the Parasite, maybe I need a little less of the Parasite for that reason. But it also is very strong for protection of negativity as well. Wormwood has been known to have a vibration of prosperity, abundance, good luck, drawing those type of experiences to you. So you might, be open to that a little bit. Let's put a few things up on the wormwood ancient herb. So it is a very sweet and bitter herb, okay? And like I said, it works with rejecting negative energy, helps with the pain. It was used for years for labor pain and cramps. Some people still use it for cramping. It opens up spiritual connection. It is so powerful And if any of you haven't taken it, or let's say you are taking it, especially during full moon, you might want to increase your serving a little bit right now. Maybe you're going to take 3 capsules several times a day, or maybe you're going to go a little further with it. So and we're coming up to full moon, which is a good time to start using it. People use it as a smudge stick, okay, like you do cedar, or you might do some sage. So wormwood and the immune system. So let's talk a second about digestion, though. So we can get rid of the parasites all we want, but do you know what the core issue is? And the more of the core problem is poor digestion. If we had better digestion, being exposed to parasites, however they come in, they will not lodge in the system when there is a healthy environment. So it is known to help to improve the digestive tract. But on our own, that's where we want to be more mindful of how we're eating, when we're eating, how well are we digesting? You know, are we just like chomping down the food so fast, or the types of food? And parasites absolutely love dairy. They love sugar. They love alcohol. They thrive and multiply in alcohol. Okay, so maybe, you know, in taking the wormwood, people have said, oh, that's interesting, my cravings have changed. Yeah, that can happen. Your cravings can change. You will maybe you'll do things in a little bit with more moderation. And again, it's one of those things you might want to experience with it. Let's see. Let's go to. I would like to pull. If Dale is he available to talk? Let's go there. Can you unmute, Dale?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, all right. So Dale, you have worked with herbs for years and years and years, right?
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay, and you have worked with parasites, and and I would love for you to share, you know, a little bit of your experience, okay, of what you know about, for example, wormwood. You're very familiar with wormwood, I'm sure.
Yes, I am. And when I was a colon therapist for a long time, and I would do treatments on people, and anybody that I did at least 10 treatments on, there never was once when I didn't pull a bunch of worms out of them. So I know that worms are everywhere, and they infect all of us, and we have to be careful on that. With the wormwood formula, I've used it on myself successfully to rid myself of some. It's kind of I guess I don't know if it's dark feelings or if that's the way to say it, but just of some confusion maybe or whatever, and it has a clearing effect on you. It will definitely help you to clear your thoughts and things like that. And parasites, they do that. They interfere a lot with those types of things. So that's been my personal experience with wormwood. I've had other people use it, and they seem to have success with it. I don't have any real fantastic stories to tell you about that, but I've had many people who used it before.
Thank you. Thanks, Dale. And the thing that the longer you take it, the deeper it goes. That and that's the beauty of working with herbs. There's some herbs you might use medicinally for a short period of time, not need it too much. But with the wormwood, oh gosh, I love it. And it's really best to get it in a blend if you can. because what causes the most havoc, like Dale was saying, after 10 colonics, what would get released? Most parasites are embedded. Most parasites have the sacs and the nests. They're much, much deeper. And again, it's nothing to get grossed out about. It's just part of life. It's airborne. It's like everywhere. But nature always supplies solutions and help for us mentally, emotionally, physically, on every level. So coming up to full moon, you may want to use a formula. You could use Parasite that has the wormwood in it. And I would go start 4 days before, if not start at full moon, go 4 days after, and just be very, very strong with this. Here's some of the benefits, the medicinal uses with it, to help with fever, help with liver, and help depression, muscle pain, memory loss. I love what Dale said. It does absolutely helps your brain. Okay, anything that starts clearing out the parasites. In years and years of doing iridology, most people have parasites throughout the bloodstream. Higher levels, lower levels, we all have some, just like we all have a little bit of cancer. It's just, it's not really growing and creating problems. But for people who have deeper intestinal issues, whether it's IBS, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel, ongoing undigested food. This is a real issue when you have undigested food. When food stays way too long in the gut, then there's undigested food. It affects the stools. Then there becomes a buildup on the wall and lining of the intestinal tract that can accumulate. Actually, today I read a study. It can accumulate up to 40 pounds on the intestinal wall, just thin layer and layer, and that's like Katara. And that's why when some people's bowels move, it might be like 1 centimeter, and it might be drier because when the colon's dehydrated, so are the organs, but that happens when there are parasites. And this could be a way that, and take in the wormwood. It's a funny name, but it does associate with worms, every imaginable kind of worm, parasite. Stimulate sweating. So don't be surprised if you just break a sweat. And that's partly what happens when you want to treat a fever. You raise it. You don't lower it. You, in the field of natural health and healing, you raise a fever up. You want the body to sweat, and then it releases. Helps with the digestive disorders, Crohn's disease, kidney disease, gallbladder disease. So when there is a higher amount of parasites in the system, then we have liver gallbladder issues all the time. A lot of the stones in the liver, in the gallbladder, are originally coming from fecal matter from the parasites. Okay, so when people have a loss of appetite, menstrual pain, they might have some real itchiness in certain parts of their body, and definitely in the rectum area, then there are parasites. A lot of times with the restless leg syndrome, there's parasitic activity going on somewhere in the body. So back to, and what I'll want to say, we'll just throw the screen up a little bit here for the Parasite. But what I'd love to hear from any of you. Here's the Parasite, and then I'm just going to go open for discussion. We won't keep everybody on too terribly long tonight. So what is in the Parasite is these herbs, the black walnut. You could see this, the diatomaceous earth. That is amazing. the fumaric acid, and again, here's the wormwood, the clove, the ginger, olive leaf, Paul d'Arco, milk thistle, and turmeric. So when you put wormwood with a blend, it's more male. It's not, it likes to be in charge and control. And these herbs just blend so well with the wormwood. I would like to, I know Myra, you've worked a lot with the wormwood and parasites, or, any experiences you have had with this? Can you unmute?
Well, you know what, Judy, it's yeah, I used it a long time ago, but I had a cold in the wintertime, and you know what, when I was taking the Parasite, it just it cleared up my congestion and everything. I can't believe that. That's great stuff. I have a couple questions though.
Yeah.
So it's so in case, because there's a lot of ticks in Pennsylvania, and I got bit by a lot of ticks last year. So if I take Parasite, would that repel the ticks?
I'm really glad you mentioned that. It can help with ticks. It can help with lice. Absolutely.
Okay.
Because Lyme's disease is rampant. I know back east and definitely Pennsylvania, where there's humidity and moist areas, right? I think that is a great way to go. The other thing you can do, you can buy it, is wormwood. You can make it into an oil, or you could buy the oil. And that's what you apply directly on any kind of bites.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and you could put it lightly, because you have woods in a camp and stuff like that, and to be able to start using it that way. And especially if you have pets, if you have animals, you should be on a little of this every day, no matter what. You'll be exposed to parasites no matter what. It's just.
Oh, so Judy, I want to show you something. I want to show everybody this. Last week, I don't know if you could see this or not. Can you see that? Okay, so anyways, it said sweet wormwood. So it said sweet wormwood again shows effectiveness against a certain thing right there. See it?
Yeah.
But isn't that wild that you mentioned wormwood, and that just happened to pop up last week?
There's such great studies being done on this right now. It's so impressive. And that really is what kind of inspired us to throw this together right now. So even if there is anything that might come across that we didn't expect and know about, we have help. We have answers. We have solutions. Nature is providing us all the time with everything we need.
And this article too mentions that the Chinese are using it.
Yeah, they have been for quite a while. This is just so cool. This is so what, it's kind of off topic, but so I was on a call with somebody a couple days ago, and they were talking about some things they're running out of and not having enough of. And then there was a paradigm shift of manifestation from scarcity to, oh my gosh, and this is why we're going to have Diane talk on a call soon, because I really want you to hear some of the stuff she's teaching. Okay. And you can present this as your intentions and your thought, and you can manifest. God will bless you. God will create miracles. God will bring forth anything and everything you need at just that second of that thought. And I know she has, oh my gosh, so many experiences she's sharing. I've heard recently with this. Dale and Dory have amazing experiences with this too, that we have nothing to fear, only fear itself. Use your intentions, use your thoughts, use the gratitude. These plants that were put on this earth,
Mhm.
And the people who used them way, way before us for years and years, way before medicine, they knew it was programmed in their DNA, what to do. So, I mean, we have a small percentage, but powerful percentage here that no matter whatever it will be, we're exposed to, right in our backyard, we can find our medicine. And what is it, Diane, that diamonds in the backyard, or
Yeah, acres of diamonds.
acres of diamonds? Okay, we'll have to have her talk about this because it's oh gosh, can you just share that real quick? I love that story. But it's a principle that is true to anything.
Okay, yeah. So the Acres of Diamonds story is actually a true story. It's about an African farmer who had a large piece of land, and it was at the beginning of the diamond rush in Africa. And so he packed up all of his stuff and decided he was going to go find these diamonds. And he sold his property and off he went. He bought all the tools and everything he needed, and he looked all over and he looked all over and he went here and there and everywhere for about 3 years. And he ran out of money. He never found any diamonds, and he threw himself from a bridge eventually. And oddly enough, the person who had purchased the property that he had sold, there was a small river that ran through the property, and there were these strange looking kind of black rocks that were hanging out on the edges of the river, the stream. And he noticed these, and of course they were diamonds, and it ended up being the largest diamond find in Africa, the largest diamond mine in Africa. And so Earl Nightingale teaches this in a program called Lead the Field from, way back, but it really talks about the fact that before you go rushing off to find your fortune or to find your better life, look under your feet at your own acres of diamonds first, because they're there. They're right there under your feet. So that's the moral of the story of Acres of Diamonds.
Thank you. And what we need is right there under our feet. What our cure is right there. Okay, we don't have to go very far for that. And that's and we're very fortunate to have access to all that we do with the herb kingdom, or whatever it is that we can imagine to manifest. And that's why I picked that song in the beginning. It's about believing. Okay, once we can believe, we can achieve. Once we can believe, I want this healed, or I don't know what the answer is to how am I going to find this for this. It's there. Okay, it's there as soon as we can open up with that. So I want to, does anybody else have anything they want to share with their own thoughts right now, or their experience with Linda Enyard? I could just see it. You've been just so connected into herbs and stuff for so long.
Well, I didn't make the connection, Judy, until you were talking about all of these wonderful attributes of this. I go for sugar when I'm under stress. And I have just finished my first bottle, and I don't do that anymore. And I did not connect that until right now, listening to you.
Mm.
In fact, I've always thought, why don't I want that? Or I would go and thinking that I was going to grab a cookie or some candy or something and wind up with a handful of almonds and be totally satisfied with it.
Mm.
So I know that is from your products. I know it is.
Mm.
And it's from the Wormwood.
Wormwood, yep. Yeah.
Yep.
That's great.
Well, I will say that, you had me on Parasite months and months ago, last year, actually.
That's
and then, so I was on that for a few months, and then we kind of got off of it because you had me doing different stuff, boosting my energy, iron, all that sort of thing. And then I called you a few months ago and I was like, yeah, okay, so everyone around me is sick.
Yeah.
And all of my friends call me Super Mario because I'm like ducking and diving, like I never get sick. And I rarely ever get sick, but I have not gotten sick at all over these last 2 years. And I honestly think it's because you put me back on Parasite and you put me on turmeric, and I take it every day. And I just take it religiously. I travel with it, and I just believe in it. And I believe that, I mean, you told me, you're like, oh, Wormwood is actually great. It's a great antiviral. That's awesome. And the only question I have for you is, you were talking about the full moon.
Mm-hmm.
And I would ask, why do you say the full moon is so important? And then how much is too much? Or how should you increase, like if you're taking the Parasite with the Wormwood in it, I think that's the only product you have with Wormwood.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Then how many capsules would you take around the full moon, and why?
Okay. Two really, really good questions. So during the full moon is when parasites multiply tremendously. They hatch thousands and thousands and thousands of eggs, okay, in our body during full moon. Okay, that's they're so active during that time. And you've heard maybe nurses in emergency rooms that all the crazies are out, okay, during full moon, or always during full moon, that they have the highest intake of people coming in to the emergency room for different reasons. The suicide rate is higher during full moon, always. Okay, so there's the release. And so that's when you want to make sure you're on top of the die-off at that point with the parasites. This is just part of nature. Whether you're an animal or a human being, you have parasites. Okay, this is just part of it. So so that's why you want to not only do it, you want to go at least 4 days out. I personally, right now, I wouldn't stop Parasite. I just wouldn't. I would keep taking Parasite it for a while. How much do you take? I would recommend 3 capsules at a time. And you could do that twice a day. You could do that 3 times a day. The best rule of thumb is start out easy. Okay. Do I follow that? No. Okay, I take a bunch and then I'm into this most intense funk, okay, or whatever, cleanse and clearing, that's just what I do. Probably like Dale Tharp and Dory, I'd say more Dale. You're like, oh, if the little's good, a lot's going to be even better, it's so funny. But I would say 3 capsules twice a day. So in the morning and before you go to bed. If you want to do extra, you can do extra during the day. If you find 3 is too many, then just go to 2. It will still keep working. And the key is, here's the key. When people start taking it, if you haven't been using it and you're going to go back, or you're going to try it, okay, the first time doing it, you might have cravings like you've never had. And the parasites are mad. They're used to having control. They're used to eating and getting all your good nutrients off of your organic foods and all of your good food. They're used to being, in the power seat here. So those first 4 days, if this is going to be your first time taking it, or you haven't taken it in a while, just don't be surprised what comes up. You might want a lot of carbs. You might want meat. You might want this or that. Don't give up. Just keep going and make sure you are not feeding your body with sugar. Make sure you are not using dairy during that time. Okay. And then you'll get to a point probably like where you're at, Diane, moderately, a little bit here, a little bit there, but not, you won't even crave it as much at that point. So those are great questions. I don't know, Deb, if you've used the Parasite or not.
I have not. I Pura Cleanse all the time, and I do the Pura Green and Pura Cleanse. But I just started my list.
We will,
So
yeah,
Parasite
we'll muscle
is
test.
on it.
Yeah, I think we want to add that in too. And Diane, I can muscle test and confirm that, remotely for you, pendulum test too. That I'd be happy to do that. So, in closing, I have to make sure that people know that we're not making any medical claims here. And if you have any concerns about anything, you contact your doctor. But if you want any other ideas, you could call me for some things. But I want to thank you all for joining. And anybody else have anything to share before we close up the evening and have a wonderful evening here? And Reem is new. I haven't seen you on here before. Nice to have you join. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well, thank you. Diane actually sent me the link this morning, so appreciate being here.
Oh, nice. Thank you very much.
She hails from Australia.
Okay. This is great. Well, hopefully you didn't get too weirded out over this one, but
No, it was very good. It was very good. I liked what you said, because my aunties, my grandmas and all of that, who obviously never read or write, and they were from the village. I grew up, it was all about herbs, and I grew up them talking about it, knowing more about every single food that goes into your body and what heals what, before any of this time come out. So I think sometimes we forget, and even I forget it. So it's a lovely reminder, because it's true. I mean, the only question I had is, what's the difference between rue and this wormwood? Are they from the same class?
I don't think so. That's something I could look a little further into, but I don't think so. They may have some similar properties, but I am very happy to research that for you.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I like the idea that you alternate as well, in terms of 1 week this, 1 week that. But I do want to I'd love to be able to have a chat to you at some stage, if you're open to it, just to see how far we can take this.
Yeah, absolutely. And next Wednesday will be the Tesla biohealing session. So we have another, oh my gosh, those are so good, and helping so many people too. So I just thank everybody for coming tonight, and have a wonderful evening. And we're going to keep the spiral of life going. That's what we're about. I had Kimberly made up these signs, expect miracles. Now they're all over the company. And that's what we do. We expect miracles. We're, as Diane said earlier too, in a call today, it's not about hooking into the negativity, whether it's the news, whatever that is. What we want to hook into is life. Okay, what is feeding life, and what are these solutions, and what do we really want for ourselves and our well-being? So I'm glad we were all together again today. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.